Welcome to Unlocking Your Truth, another podcast by Dr. Leslie Phillips.
Good evening, listeners. You are listening to CIVL on 101.7 FM, broadcasting to the Fraser Valley from the University of Abbotsford campus. And we are on the traditional unceded territory of the Stolo people.
Yes, we are.
And tonight you are tuning in to Unlocking Your Truth with Dr. Leslie and Corey.
You can hear me now.
Yeah, you're on a different microphone than you thought you were.
No, I'm on microphone too.
Are you? Okay.
Oh.
Yeah, I think you...
I think you have microphone one.
Anyway, we can hear you.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Absolutely. Yeah, so welcome to Unlocking Your Truth, listeners. And if you're a regular, you know that we focus on metaphysics and spirituality, and that we're a talk show, and that you're welcome to call and have a conversation with us throughout the next hour. And every week we have a different topic.
Yay!
Yeah, and today's topic is what can heal emotional pain.
That's a good topic.
I wonder who thought of it.
Somebody with mucho intelligente.
So, what is emotional pain? What's your definition of emotional pain, Corey?
Well, for me, emotional pain is when within your being it hurts. No, it's when you're feeling so unhappy and miserable and depressed, and you can't seem to get out of it. There's nothing wrong with feeling emotions, but it's when you can't release them.
Okay, right. And yeah, and that's a definition that is a really good one, and that
of course
probably most people that you would ask would say something similar. And I'm going to give you a sort of a spiritual perspective, a spiritual definition.
Dr. Leslie has a different description of emotional pain. Of course.
Well, it's not in disagreement, but it's just a slightly different perspective, because, you know, one way that your body responds to a circumstance that is basically emotional pain is one way that your body responds to a circumstance that it's experiencing that it does not prefer. Because the emotions are signals from your body to you, the high vibration spiritual consciousness. It's a feedback mechanism. Oh, I like this. I'm having fun. Oh, this sucks. I really don't like this.
It's just like ringing a bell.
I'm frightened. Yeah.
Like ringing a bell. You've got a problem.
Yeah. And, you know, the situation that your body doesn't prefer could be happening right now. So it could be a present time experience that you're going through, you know, some painful present time experience. Maybe your boyfriend's telling you he's breaking up with you or something like that. But, or your girlfriend, or in your case, I suppose.
But even that, the emotion, I don't think the emotion is that much about the present time feeling. I think it's, again, somebody says something to you and people go, what do I do now? Thinking about what am I doing in the future? I'm going to be alone, you know, and they just constantly progress.
That's
out.
Right. I think there's 3 or 4 different things that it can be.
Yeah,
one, it can be something that's happening now in present time. It can be a memory of a past time experience that you're dwelling on, that you haven't let go of, that you think about, and whatever you're thinking about, your body is responding to. So if something really unfortunate and difficult happened to you in the past, but you keep thinking about it over and over again, the body is going to feel depressed. The body is going to feel in emotional pain, because it's not going to necessarily distinguish. It's going to feel like it's reliving it. Or it could be you are holding a belief about your life experience that is causing the emotional pain. And you're right, the worry about the future. So, what causes emotional pain? What do you think causes emotional pain?
This is your show.
I know, but you're
I'm
playing.
supposed to ask you the questions.
You're playing the role of. You're just playing the role of the general person.
What causes
right now.
emotional pain?
Yeah.
Something out of the normal, out of what you expect your normal to be for the whatever you are living or whatever aspect of life the emotions are hitting.
Okay.
So if you have a relationship, your normal is la-di-da, la-di-da. Somebody throws a wrench into it. Whoops, that's not normal. And then your body reacts, and then you have an emotional reaction to it.
Okay. So
it's a reaction to a trigger.
Yeah, okay. And that's true. But I think, for me, the root cause of emotional pain is maybe threefold. Non-acceptance of what is. Because always when you're in a state of pain, you are not accepting the situation. You are not accepting what is. And you're in a state of non-forgiveness of what is. Okay? So you have an expectation, like you said, it's not been met. And this situation is wrong. It shouldn't be this way. I'm not accepting it. And I can't forgive and let go. And it can also be just your inability to be able to change in that moment. Your inability, perhaps, to remove yourself from a difficult situation. So there may be situations that you can be in that you know, in that moment you can't remove yourself. And somebody's not paying attention to your boundaries. But I would say non-acceptance of what is, non-forgiveness, and inability for you to change in that moment. So you're resisting what is. And so let's talk about what might heal emotional pain, because that's the subject of today's show. And from my perspective, it's the opposite of the things that I just said. So one of the steps to heal your emotional pain, well, actually, one of the things is you have to acknowledge that you're in pain. So not everybody acknowledges that they're in pain, oddly enough. Sometimes people stuff the pain down and cover it up and pretend that everything's okay and put a nice shiny facade on the surface. So the first thing is you have to acknowledge that you are in emotional pain. And then you have to accept it. Accept that this is the way it is right now. I might not prefer it to be this way, but it is the way that it is. And that's the first step to changing it, is to accept it. Because if you are in a state of non-acceptance, then you're offering a resistance against it. And what you resist persists and stays in your reality. So acceptance of what is, and then forgiveness of what is or what was. You know, it's a release of the energy around the whole thing. Just forgiveness. You need to forgive to be able to accept. You need to forgive to get out of a state of resistance so that you can move and so that you can change your reality. So that would be some big picture concepts around how to heal emotional pain. And we're going to go into some suggestions on like top 10 things that you can do as well in a moment. But does that make sense so far, Corey?
I would think so.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you're a man.
Oh, and then what's it? How's it different if you're a man?
Well, we have no emotional pain to stuff down.
Right. So, here's a question. Is emotional pain always something that's inflicted upon you from outside yourself?
No.
Yeah. So your emotional pain is always your response to something or somebody. It's happening inside you. But we do tend to project that another person or set of circumstances is responsible for our pain. We blame others for our pain. Okay, but when you think about it, that's the perspective of a disempowered victim mentality. That's like saying, well, I'm a victim of these circumstances and I can't do anything about it. And while you play the role of the victim, you won't move through the pain either. And I think that's a really difficult one for people, because they say, well, what if I'm a victim of torture? Or what if I'm a victim of abuse of some kind? Or what if my child was killed by a drunk driver? I mean, why should I accept? Why should I forgive? And why should I not blame? Because surely in those circumstances, someone else is responsible for my pain. Surely in those circumstances, that's a travesty of justice. And it is and was a challenging circumstance if you've been through something like that, but it doesn't alter the fact that if you judge, resent, or blame, you stay stuck in the pain. And if you judge, resent, or blame, you're not in a state of forgiveness and acceptance. Because even if somebody's passed on, that's a situation that is what it is. And there's a level of acceptance of that. If somebody's passed on, you can't change that. So the other important thing in healing emotional pain, because everything I've said so far sounds so easy, but in practice it's not so easy, right?
Why are you looking at me?
Time and space. It isn't easy for most people to simply shift from grief to happiness or from emptiness to fulfillment. It takes time and space for your body to adjust and change. So nobody's saying it must be instantaneous, If a relationship has broken down, or if somebody has passed on, or even if you've lost, a pet or something like that, you can't expect to instantly be in a state of acceptance. It takes time and space.
But yet, that's not necessarily true for everyone, for every experience.
No.
It's, for instance, like for myself with grief, I don't experience grief the same way other people do. I've lost my parents and other members of my family, and I've never experienced grief over it. And people say, well, one day.
Yeah.
There's no one day. It just, I understand they're gone. That body is gone. The spirit's moved on. So if you're not, what's the word I'm looking, locked into a belief system about certain things, then that belief system doesn't affect you.
Yeah.
Or that belief doesn't affect you.
Yeah, I believe that's true. Like that, right at the beginning we said, pain can be caused by a belief that you hold. And if you don't hold that belief, you might not experience the pain around it.
Yeah. And as far as that's concerned, I mean, of course, the feeling the grief is a belief system, and the not feeling the grief is a belief system as well. That is a learned thing, right? Which is kind of interesting. I just realized that the reason that I have no grief around death is because my parents taught me not to grieve around death, because they had them. My father worked in the cemetery for 20 years, so there was no real...
Then there's the reality beyond the belief. Then there's the authentic spiritual experience, and in this example of death. Because I also, at least in my experience of death so far in my life, didn't react the same way as other people. Because, for example, when my grandmother died, I felt the most tremendous joy and high vibration energy, because I was tuning into the spiritual experience that she was going through.
And when certain people will look at that and go, what is she doing?
Yeah.
And you have to sort of hide those feelings because
they're not normal.
it's not just that.
Except they're more normal than what's normal, actually.
Yeah. So, if somebody is sitting in the corner grieving over a death or something along those lines, and you come out, skipping and dancing, it affects them as well. So you almost have to play in the norm sometimes.
Well, I think compassion, compassion is the word, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, so here is a list of 10 things, or maybe a bit more than 10 things, that if you are stuck in a state of emotional pain, that you can do or try or experiment with to see if you can change how you feel, to see if you can change your vibration.
Dr. Leslie's 10 top things to do when you have emotional pain.
Because emotional pain is a very low vibration, so we want to raise the vibration. And love is the highest one, but it's not that easy always to go straight from pain to love. So, of course, my number one is meditation. You can raise your vibrational frequency through meditation. You can enter a state of acceptance and compassion and forgiveness through meditation. And the other thing that meditation can do for you is it can help you stay in control, because sometimes when we are absolutely overcome and overwhelmed with painful emotions, if we give in to those painful emotions and if we ride the roller coaster of the painful emotions, we can pretty soon become an emotional basket case and not be in charge at all of our reality. And saying being in charge of your reality is not the same as saying as push your emotions down or ignore them, but it's saying be the neutral observer of your reality and be the one that is there to help your body through what it is going through, because it is the body that is experiencing the emotion. Does that make sense, Corey?
Yes. But again, I think listeners might be a little confused. When you talk about the body, you're talking about the opposite of the spirit.
I wouldn't call it the opposite, but or
different than the spirit.
I'm saying
as opposed to you're not. Let me explain what I mean. Is that you're not feeling the emotion in your arm, type deal.
You could. You could store pain anywhere in your body.
A physical pain, but what you're talking about is more. It's a bodily thing. It's a physical. It's a physical thing as opposed to a spiritual thing.
Everything is spiritual because we're spirit. But what I'm saying is, you are spirit, and you've created your body as a vehicle to experience this reality.
Exactly.
And the emotions are part of the body experience. The pure vibrational spiritual consciousness doesn't experience those emotions out of the body. So, for example, when somebody passes on, all fear is gone and all pain is gone because they're not in the body anymore.
But yet, when people do mediumship, they'll say, "Oh, your loved one is happy. They're smiling." I think what that is they're reading an energy that's not necessarily.
They could be reading an energy vibration, sensing a feeling, or that person could be projecting an image of themselves looking happy as a way of conveying something comforting to the
because that's what
person.
You're used to understanding. You're used to happy is smiling, so they're sending that energetic message.
I think we're going to have to continue our top 10 list after the break, Corey.
How many did we get to?
We got to number 1. We'll do the top 10 list after the break, listeners. Well, hello, listeners. You are tuning in to Unlocking Your Truth with Dr. Leslie and Corey.
Hello again.
And this evening, we're talking about how to heal emotional pain. And I think it's a pretty important subject because I don't believe that there's a single human being that doesn't go through an intense pain at some point in their life, intense emotional pain. It's part of living life in a body in this world.
That's why we're here. We're here to experience emotion. We're here to experience the ride, the roller coaster ride of life.
Yeah, so before the break we were talking about the nature of pain and what is pain, and now we're going to go through a top 10 list of things that might help you to change how you feel when you're in pain. And of course, my number one on the top 10 list is meditation. And as I was explaining before the break, because meditation can, it can really help you to move into a state of stillness, self-knowledge, acceptance, forgiveness. And it can also make you the witness of what's going on in your reality as opposed to the victim of what's going on in your reality. It can help you to stay in charge and not be pulled into that tumultuous sea of emotions where you're just being emotionally triggered all the time.
Yep. And for those folks who aren't really sure about a meditation practice, they can go to your website, drlesliephillips.com. Under free things, there's a meditation kit, a guided meditation kit that you can download and practice your meditation.
That's right. And there's actually lots of meditations that you can find if you look around under the meditation tab. So, and then number 2, I've listed it separately. It kind of is a form of meditation, but it's a specific form of meditation that I think is relevant to separate out, and that's mindfulness. And the reason I separated it out is one of the things about mindfulness is very much focusing on being in the present moment and being connected with your body. And also practicing self-compassion. And I think that when you're in a sad space, it's really important to be kind to yourself and be compassionate to yourself. And I know for myself, when I've been in moments of pain, because let's say something has ended, whether it's a job or a relationship, I find if I can focus my consciousness in that very narrow gate so that there's no past, there's no future, there's just now, I feel so much better because I'm not going over what just happened to cause the pain and I'm not worrying about what's going on in the future. So being mindful and being compassionate to yourself can be very, very helpful practice to at least minimize the pain that you're going through. And then the next one, that there are different words we could call this. I called it imagination, but you could call it visualization and you could call it manifestation. But what I'm meaning here is if you can imagine yourself to feel differently than you are feeling, if you can imagine yourself to be healed, if you can imagine yourself to be in a state where you have released the pain and you have changed the situation, then you can feel yourself into a higher vibration. Because like we were saying earlier when we were talking about thoughts, you can hold all sorts of beliefs that cause you to be in pain, and if you can change the beliefs, you won't be in pain anymore. So your body will respond to your imagination, it will respond to your visualization, it will respond to your intention that you are living a different reality. It will move into the new vibrational frequency if you can focus on visualizing in that way.
Yeah, it's really interesting because human nature is I think more biased to weighted to the negative side. It's so easy for people to think of negativity and going into a negative state. They can go from happy to a negative state almost instantaneously without thinking, without grieving. You just have to hit the trigger and bingo, they're gone. But taking a person from a negative and a depressed or unhappy state and trying to instantaneously just change it into a happy state, they don't believe it can be possible.
No.
But they do believe it, the other can be possible.
Yeah, but look at children. Look at little 3-year-olds in the park. That's a very different matter, isn't it? They scrape their knee, they cry, then a couple of minutes later they're running around giggling again. Because they don't have the same mental programming and training.
They have a bounce back rate of 30 seconds.
That's why Jesus in his teachings said that you come as a child. I'm not sure if that's the exact quote, but because what he was meaning is the children, they don't hold on to this stuff and worry about it. They are in the moment. They let it go completely. And most adults, that's not what we're doing. We've got a little bag that we fill up with all the bad things that have happened to me in life, and I'll just remember all of those in case they happen again, So then I can say, well, okay, here it is again. Here's more evidence that the world sucks.
But yeah. Also, when you look at emotions, when you look at emotions, it's like thoughts. It's hard to have two thoughts at the same time. I mean, you can do things and think, but emotions, you can only have one emotion at a time. And I always say that if you're in the negative side, just replace it with that positive emotion. Yeah. Hug somebody, love somebody, like go into that state of love, and it disintegrates the negativity. It's like a flashlight in a dark room. Yeah.
It's not always easy for people to move into that love, but sometimes one thing that might help is watch a comedy movie.
Exactly. You're
watch a comedy,
that negativity with positive.
Because if you've ever done that when you've been sad and you've watched a funny film and you find yourself laughing, or you've listened to a comedian and you find yourself laughing, in that moment of laughter, you've forgotten all of the pain. In that moment, you've raised your frequency instantly. And I'll also just mention here that there are techniques that you can use in meditation to change your emotions. Okay, you can consciously shift your emotions, but that may be for the average person in the street that doesn't practice meditation on a regular basis, then maybe it's easier to watch a comedy show, but you actually can raise your vibration through meditation techniques to amusement, to love, to joy, to different things.
Yeah, another thing about emotion, one of my favorite people, Sherry Hubert, used to say, if you're going to feel depressed, if you're going to feel unhappy, if you get into it, like really feel it. And she said it's sort of like when you get into a swimming pool, when you jump in, it's really hot, right? But then after you've been in the swimming pool for a little while, it's not hot anymore. It's perfect, right? And then you get out and you have a different sensation altogether. The coolness now hits you. So it's like when you get into the emotion of like, say, depression, she says, go into your bedroom and lay on the bed and just sully in it. Because when you go that deep and then you come out a little bit, if you force yourself to do it and you come out a little bit, you're feeling better, even though you were worse than you were before.
Well, because I think part of that is you are no longer in any denial if you do that. You are accepting, I have this pain, and here's the pain.
Allowing it to be.
And you're allowing it to be. And you have to do that in order to move out of it, actually. You have to accept it in order to move out
because
of it.
Otherwise you're just dipping your toe into that pool, and if you dip your toe into the pool, you're never going to get in.
Yeah. So, and then number 4, I wrote down counselling. But it could be just having some kind of support system. And the kind of counselling is whatever is right for you. Maybe it's a psychologist, maybe it's a therapist, maybe it's a spiritual counsellor, or maybe it's just a buddy to talk to. So having some kind of support system. And so, it could be your friends and family as well, but just reaching out for some support. And I also think physical touch can help. When somebody, when you're feeling really sad, having a hug, can really help.
Well, that's what I was talking about, the love, like if you allow the love to happen. The only thing I would caution with that, and you know me, the only thing I would caution with that, when somebody's feeling really bad and you do a physical touch on them, that could anchor that negativity to that physical touch. And you have to be a little bit careful with that, with people.
And I know you always say that. Well, I think maybe that depends on the personality.
Well, it depends on the person, the situation, a whole bunch of things. But there are situations where, in order to eliminate negativity, for in NLP, what you do is you have a person who is negative or has a negative emotion. You have them build a positive emotion, even if it's just for a few seconds. Then you have them do something with their body to, you put your nail into your finger. So now your body, like you say, your body is in control of the emotions. It's where the emotions come from. So now you do this, it stimulates that emotion again.
Yeah.
But it's almost like a sense of hypnosis. And you have to be careful with hypnosis, because people think hypnosis, you're getting sleepy, but hypnosis happens all the time. We're always being programmed. And it's the same thing, and your body can be programmed with a physical touch as well.
Yeah, we totally are always being programmed.
That's why I'm just saying, there's nothing wrong with doing it. It's just you have to be a little bit careful of when and how you do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Pick your moments.
Well, exactly, yeah. And even when listening to a teaching like this or a discussion like this, don't just let yourself be programmed by everything someone else says. Ask always, is this information resonating with me? Is this information appropriate for me? Because everybody is different, and everyone will have their own recipe out of pain that works for them as well, because everyone's got their own unique journey in life. So one of my other suggestions is sleep. Just sleep, just rest, just relax. And but let your body go through what it needs to. Let your body catch up with the new situation that's caused the pain. So sleeping can be really great.
Because negativity is tiring.
And also, like, take a break and find some healthy outlets for that energy. And for example, exercise. Or some other kind of hobby that you enjoy. Yeah. Like if you like doing art. And these are especially good if you've got some anger going on with the pain as well, because you can find a way to channel that anger in the activity.
Chop wood.
That's right, chop wood.
Cut grass.
Yeah. Yeah. And
I meant mow lawn, by the way.
The other one, which we didn't mention, just because I automatically always think it goes along with meditation, is just breathe. Breathe.
Breathing's an important one.
Yeah, breathe. And I think we've mentioned a lot of things, and we've talked about tuning into your feelings and accepting them and acknowledging them and being compassionate to yourself, and and eventually, on the other side of this, learn. What did you learn? What have you learned? What's the gem? What's the gift in the situation for you? Because I don't think that there's a moment in my life where I went through pain that there wasn't a gift somewhere in that pain that could be unlocked and treasured and taken as growth in the aftermath of the pain. So what did you learn from it?
Are we still on the 10 tips, or have we gone through them?
I've kind of gone through them.
I have one.
What's that?
Food, eating, diet. Be very careful of what you eat as well. If you're susceptible to emotionality, things like sugar and all, like we were talking about that earlier, sugar, gluten, some of the poisons that are out there in the way of food that we consume when we, like potato chips and you get a rush for a little while, but then you come down, and not only do you still feel bad about the emotions, or even alcohol, you not only feel bad about the emotional problem you're having, is now you've added guilt to it as well.
Yeah, that's a really good one, because I think emotional eating is something that is very big in our society, or emotional starvation. Either way.
Food, or drugs as well. We have a friend of ours who was a street person, and we were talking at one point, and she was just a young woman, about 24, when we were talking to her, and she was strung out in heroin, and I said, "Why did you do that?" And she said, "Well, when you're out in the street, heroin is like a warm blanket for you. When you're high, you don't feel the pain anymore. Then you come down, you feel the pain again."
Mm. So we're kind of on a list of don'ts now, in a way. So don't do drugs, don't do alcohol, don't emotionally eat, don't ruminate. Just just look for the silver lining, focus on the positive, and on that note,
time for another break.
It really is. But when we get back from the break, listeners, the phone lines are open, and we do love to help you with your life questions. And so you're welcome to call us.
At least listen to them.
Yeah. And the number in the studio to call in live is 604 504 7441 extension 4142. That's 604 504 7441 extension 4142. You can email info@drlesliephillips.com as well, but you're more guaranteed to have your question answered if you call in live, because we get an enormous number of email questions every week.
Every day,
yeah. Well, good evening, everyone. You are tuning in to Unlocking Your Truth with Dr. Leslie and Corrie. And on this evening's show, we've been talking about something which is relevant to every single one of us, which is emotional pain and how to heal emotional pain.
Yes.
And we've given our top 10 tips of things that you can try to move through the pain. And we've also given a spiritual perspective on what pain actually is, and what intensifies it and what minimizes it.
Yes.
So now we do have time for some listeners' questions.
Yes.
And Corrie will be going to read them out.
Yes. You'd like me to do that, I presume.
Well, unless you want to just sit there like that saying yes.
Yes.
Over and over
pizza,
again.
Yes, pizza. Okay, I have a question from Kelly. And Kelly is in Nicholasville, USA. And Kelly asks, am I clairsentient or claircognizant?
Okay, that's kind of a common question, isn't it, that we get? Am I an empath? Am I clairsentient? So, listeners, if you don't know what those words mean, they're both different spiritual abilities. Clairsentient is the ability to tune in to emotions, emotional vibrations and frequencies intuitively. And claircognizance is knowingness. Another word for that is knowingness. And so in common vernacular, it's the clairsentience is often called a gut feeling. I just had a gut feeling. And the knowingness is like, I just know. I don't know how or why I know. I just know it. It's just that sense of knowing that you often get. And the common example of that is I just know to take a different route to work today, and then I find out there was an accident on my usual route. So
I knew you were going to visit me today.
Yeah. So, and Kelly wants to know which of those is she, and it's quite possible that she's both. Because, clairsentience is relevant actually to what we've been talking about today, because the primary purpose of all of us having that ability, and we all do, is body-spirit communication. You are spirit, you have a body, you are able to interpret and tune into your body's emotions through your clairsentience. Most humans, from the time of being very small, instead of using it for its primary purpose, focus it outside themselves to check, how is mummy feeling? How is daddy feeling? Is daddy in a bad mood? Is mummy going to shout at me? And so, a secondary purpose is to know how other bodies are feeling as well. So, and then the knowingness, that's an aspect of your crown chakra. That's you connecting with your higher wisdom. That's you connecting with your God. That's you connecting with your soul and your higher self. So both of those abilities, actually, if anyone asks me that, the answer is yes, 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 yes to everybody, because you all have them. Now some of us may have a life path or a life purpose where we've planned to use them to assist others or in particular ways. And so I suppose that might be what Kelly is asking. And I'm going to take a look at Kelly in particular and her energy now, having said all of that, having qualified my answer. Out of the two that you ask about, I am seeing the one that you are most aware of, that is seems to be operating in your conscious reality, is the clairsentience. So I am seeing that you are somebody who has an awareness of well, it's interesting. What I want to say is, it actually looks to me like you've done a significant amount of emotional clearing yourself, because that whole second chakra area looks pretty bright and clear and healthy. And I'm seeing that you let's see. Well, it looks like you do use it in body-spirit communication, actually. It looks like you do. It looks like you have a good relationship with your physical body, and that's part of it. And to me, it looks like one of the things that you're working on is actually keeping your vibration up, so that, and I'm seeing that it looks like sometimes what happens is, in the presence of somebody who is in a challenging, has a challenging energy, that you pick up on that. And if you're not careful, your own vibration spirals down to join it. And that looks like something that you are working on within yourself. But it looks like you are getting some seniority over that, to me. And the knowingness, I'm seeing that there's a block to that within your energy field. And it looks to me that the block to that, what I want to say is, you've got a thing about seeking approval. So you're a marvelous empath, and people love you, and they'll come and they'll share their problems with you. And but I'm seeing that you want people to like you. You want to be a part of the group. You want to be approved of. You want people to be pleased with you. And you really value human relations. And I'm seeing that, therefore, you're focused more on other people, other human beings, than you are focused on your own, than your higher self and your God. And so that would be the barrier to your knowingness, is that you care too much what other people think and whether they approve of you. So letting that go would help you to improve your knowingness and your claircognizance. I think we've got time for another.
Sure we do. Just one comment on that. It kind of sucks to have negative emotions welling up inside of you, but it sucks even more to have negative emotions welling up inside of you that aren't yours and you don't know it.
Yeah. Oh, that's so common.
Yeah.
That is so very common. And that's that my meditation program, where I'm teaching people to activate and open your intuition, half of it is about that. is about what's your energy. Because how can you've got to know yourself, you've got to know your own energy, and you've got to know what's somebody else's energy.
Yeah, it's like brings the statement, I feel your pain, to a whole different level.
Yeah.
So here's another question. This is from Mary in Snohomish, Washington State. What is holding me back from releasing this weight and keeping me in pain?
Good question, because we were kind of talking about that, weren't we? Emotional stuff. What is stopping me from losing this weight and keeping me in pain? Let's take a look. Well, interestingly enough, I see the block be in the 5th chakra, which is the throat chakra. And that's the energy center that relates to communication. And I'm seeing that it looks like the block is in expressing your feelings. The block is in being able to say how you feel, and why you feel that way, and what you need and what you want, and know that you deserve to have it. So it's in the self-expression aspect of your reality. And so it looks like what you're stuffing down is your needs and wants. And actually a bit maybe like in common with the previous person, it looks like you put other people's needs first. That you're wanting to make sure everyone else is happy, and forgetting about yourself, and it's such an ingrained pattern, it doesn't even occur to you most of the time that you even have needs. But I'm seeing that that's what it is. It's that you are not expressing and voicing your feelings, your needs, your wants, and your desires. And then because you're not expressing it, you're not having your needs met. So on some levels, you don't even know what your needs are. But when you do know what they are, you're not able to express it, and therefore that your needs are not being met. And therefore, there's an unhappiness, an unfulfillment, and therefore there's that the weight. I'm seeing that the weight's related to that. So working on your voice and having boundaries and being able to express yourself would help you. So
I ditto that.
Yeah, we got 5 minutes left.
We got one more.
Okay.
I had one up here. So this is from Nicole in Cape Town, South Africa. And she wants to know, what do I need to know for my life right now? I'm so tired of the struggle and not knowing what my next step should be. Thank you.
That's funny. I have a niece called Nicole in Cape Town, but I don't suppose.
And it's kind of similar to our topic as well.
So so she says she's tired of the struggle and not knowing what her next step would be. Is that what the question is?
Yeah, what she needs to know for her life right now.
And what she needs to know for her life right now. Okay, I'm taking a look. Well, again, the answer's got to do with body and spirit, and how to create the life that you want, and how body and spirit working together to create the life that you want. So the struggle comes from the body attempting to do what is the role of spirit. Okay? So, because everything the body does takes effort. Sometimes the body tries to be the one that is in charge of reality. And so I'm seeing that the struggle and effort's coming from the body. But I'm also seeing that you're very powerful, that you've got a real, you're like a, what's the word? You're packed full of power and energy, and you're super, super bright. And it just looks like it's got to do with you grounding and having spirit take the role of spirit and body take the role of body, so that body isn't trying to do what spirit is meant to do, and so I'm seeing that the struggle is you're not creating as spirit, you're not manifesting as spirit. The body's trying to do everything, but as soon as you get the difference, you're a force to be reckoned with. As soon as you get the difference, you are so powerful, you can manifest everything and anything that you can think of. That's what I'm seeing. That didn't take very long, actually, that one.
No, it fixed her life just like that. What can I say?
Well, and for this lady, do go download the meditation kit and learn how to ground and center, because I'm seeing that will help you to start to know the difference between your body and you, and it will help you start to anchor that energy in, and it will help you to start operating consciously as spirit through the body, because that's what the centering technique does.
Marvelous. I knew you'd get grounding in somehow.
Grounding, yeah. Very important. We're at the end of our show this week. We'll be back. Same time, same place. Next Tuesday, 7 o'clock Pacific time. And we're broadcasting on 101.7 FM on CIVL.
And stay tuned, because we might even have a television station coming up soon.
Oh, yes.
Television show.
Yeah, cool.
Thank you for joining us. You've been listening to another Unlocking Your Truth podcast by Dr. Leslie Phillips. For more information, go to our website at drlesleyphillips.com. That's drlesleyphillips.com, where you can ask questions or send her an email, and there's many free gifts on there for you as well. You can also find the questions that were asked during this show at the website on our free card reading podcast page, where you'll find a full list of them. Come back again.